Welcome to this training course. Here you're going to learn all the basics you need to safely operate an inflatable. During the video, you're going to hear the words trainer or rental company. That simply refers to the people who installed the inflatable. Never do anything contrary to their rules or procedures. This is for the safety of everyone. Now let's get started. As a monitor, you will be responsible for the safety of this equipment. Do not take this job lightly. A lot of people think because inflatables are soft and full of air, they couldn't be dangerous. Well, they can. So what we need to do is monitor all of the play. So who can be a monitor? Well, first of all, it needs to be an adult, someone who is willing to enforce the rules, that has the nerve to do it. You have to be at least 16 years old, maybe older, depends on the situation. So we know about the rules and restrictions. Well, what are they? How do we follow them? Your trainer should give you a list of the rules and restrictions. If not, you can find one almost always right on the inflatable. This is called the information plate, and the important things to look for: how many persons are allowed inside at one time, how many monitors are needed. You're going to find weight and size restrictions. Just read them. They're all different. Be sure you have a device on hand to verify that each participant meets these requirements. This is often overlooked, but so important. It may be tempting to let someone on. Don't. Remember, you're putting their safety at risk, and you don't want to be responsible for that person getting hurt when it could have been prevented. A good monitor is always polite, but firm, because safety is the #1 concern. You may find at times parents will try to pressure you into bending the rules for their child. Comments like, "Oh, he's done this before," or "It will be okay, I won't tell anyone." You must have the ability to politely say no and hold firm. These rules are in place for everyone's safety. Making exceptions not only compromises that, but also will encourage others that the rules can be broken for them as well. It won't take long to completely lose control. Never turn your back to the inflatable or leave your position for any reason, even if it's just for a moment, without notifying your trainer. If there's no one around, the kids are going to feel it's okay, and they will come out of nowhere when they see an inflatable without supervision. An inflatable that is inflated will be viewed as safe and ready to play on by both parents and children. They are often completely unaware of the potential danger. Only the rental company can train a monitor. So if you have to leave for some reason, you need to bring in a replacement monitor. And if there isn't one, you're going to have to shut down the inflatable. Here's how. First of all, make sure everyone is safely outside of the inflatable. Now clear the area. You need some room. Now we're going to turn off the fans. They typically look like this and have an on-off switch. It's pretty straightforward. Now, after you turn off these fans, you need to stay until it's completely flat on the ground. Leaving it unattended and only partially deflated can be disastrous. It will look like fun and people will want to jump on it. There's no longer any air pressure and they could strike the ground or hidden dangers that they can't see. This is not safe at all and could cause serious injury. Don't let anything ever distract you from your job as a monitor. For one thing, never be on your phone. Never turn your back to what's going on. Remember, things can happen in a split second and you're not even watching. Another thing that might happen is that parents or other people are going to want to distract you and maybe have a conversation. Again, always keep the participants in your line of sight. Now let's talk about some rules that are basic to all inflatables. Always take your shoes off before you get on the inflatable. Also, if you have a kid who's wearing something with a safety pin, oh my goodness, take it off. Can you imagine this in the inflatable and you step on it? Ouch. Do not allow anyone to carry items with them inside the inflatable. Food, drink, and play items, all a no-no. For one thing, it could cause a mess for you to clean up, or you could permanently damage the inflatable. Here's some of the common items: silly string, chewing gum, glitter or confetti, snow cones, cotton candy, popcorn, drinks. Participants should always be grouped together in comparable size, weight, and age. Never mix older children with young children. The younger ones can be injured by the bigger kids. Use extra caution with children under the age of 6. Now let's look at some common behaviors that should not be permitted inside an inflatable. Jumping or climbing on parts not designed for it. Performing flips or somersaults. Jumping out of the inflatable onto the ground. Horseplay, pushing, shoving, running into other people, or otherwise acting out of control. Participants running in or out of the inflatable. If your inflatable has a slide or a slide built into it, and many of them do, it can be especially dangerous. Here is a list of certain slide behaviors to never permit. Sliding down head first, head and neck injuries can occur. Parents sliding down while holding a small child. The child could fall out and be injured by the momentum of the parent. Running down a slide lane. Older kids will frequently try this and it can lead to serious injury. Bouncing or flipping down the slide lane. Broken arms and legs can happen. Climbing up the slide lane backwards. High risk of collision with another person. Two persons sliding down the same slide lane like this. Again, high risk of collision. What is the right way to use a slide? Participants should slide down feet first, arms crossed like a water slide, and exit in a safe and timely manner, one person at a time. Each person should safely exit the slide before the next person comes down. You're going to find that some parents want to carry their kids on the inflatable, go down the slides in the inflatable, play in the inflatable. You never allow that. It's a very unstable surface. If they fall, both of them could get hurt. Instead, if the child requires assistance, the parent should allow the child to enter first and exit last while holding their hand. The parent's feet must always remain on solid ground like we're doing here. Sometimes you will get participants who go in and never come out because after all, it's a cool place to hang out. You got to be careful of this. If someone goes in, they have to come out. For instance, if your activity allows 2 participants at a time, you let 2 in, make sure those 2 come out before you let anyone else in. And this is so easy to lose track of. And if you do, this can be dangerous for a couple of reasons. One, you have 20 kids in there jumping around. They can hit each other. Also, all that weight can really depress the inflatable and make it more dangerous. So you need to stay on top of this. Also, the whole spectator issue. It's a lot of fun. Sometimes you'll draw a big crowd. You need to monitor that crowd as well. You should also keep a watchful eye on anyone who may wander into areas they shouldn't, such as where the blowers are located, the generator area, tether rope stakes, or around electrical cords. If the crowd gets to a point you can no longer control it, you should evacuate the inflatable and deflate it until the situation is back under control.
Walk away.
Sorry, buddy.
What else do we need to watch out for? Pressure loss, a common malfunction. We know these devices live and die off of air, right? Well, there's a lot of different reasons, some serious, some minor, that can lead to pressure loss, and it can create a dangerous situation. So we need to not only monitor at all time, we need to know the visual indicators that something is wrong. Drooping arches or walls, or a soft, spongy floor that sinks when people walk are good indicators something's wrong. This is usually the first sign of trouble. When in doubt, or if something just doesn't look right, have everyone immediately and safely evacuate. Close the activity and investigate. Seek help if needed. One more thing you need to monitor. If your fans are plugged into a generator, you need to periodically check the fuel level on the generator. If it gets below a quarter of a tank, it's time to refuel. Call your trainer or the rental company. Many times you are going to set up outdoors, of course, but weather can be very dangerous. You need to monitor it closely, especially wind. You've all seen those videos of inflatables flying, terrifying. So how do you know how to safely operate? What is that wind speed? Usually it's going to be right here on the information plate. You can see here, this one, it's 15 miles an hour. Well, what if it's not there? We're going to assume that 15 miles an hour is the absolute top wind speed. And if it gets to 15 miles an hour or above, we are going to evacuate and deflate this inflatable. Of course, you're wondering, well, how do I know if it's 15 miles an hour? Well, if your rental company or trainer doesn't notify you, you can use one of these, a Beaufort scale of wind force. Your trainer may provide you with a copy, but they're also easily found on the internet. It gives us visual clues to approximate the wind speed. Now, what about rain or thunderstorms? Thunderstorms contain lightning and unpredictable winds. For this reason, we want to evacuate, close down, and follow any instruction from your rental company when a storm is approaching. What if it isn't a storm? What if it's just rain? Unless your inflatable is a water-based activity, you still have to close down. Most inflatables aren't designed to be wet and can become slick. Someone could slip and get hurt. So the general rule of thumb is if the installer didn't connect a hose to it, you need to keep it dry. Now let's say you're operating in a location or at a time where the light is low. The area inside and around the inflatable should have always enough light where you can see every part of the inflatable and the participants can see what he or she is doing as they would during normal daylight hours. There should not be any dark areas. If you have concerns with the light level, discuss with your trainer or rental company. Okay, the trainer has gone over all the rules. The installers have left. You're ready to go, and then someone wants you to move the equipment. Can you move the equipment? The answer is absolutely not. You can't do it. There are safety procedures you don't know about, and there's liability here that you do not want to risk ever. So, if the equipment absolutely has to be moved, you're going to have to get on the phone, call the rental company or your trainer. Remember, safety is your #1 concern. Everyone around you is going to be having a great time, but you are the eyes and the ears for the safety of these participants on this inflatable.